There might be some potential objections here. So some of the things that we might think are, is it really the belief that wrongs people? So one way that we could try and run this objection is to say that it's not actually the beliefs themselves that are wrong. It's the actions that you know are disposed to stem from the belief, or are likely to stem from the belief, or do stem from the belief. So if we think about examples of um, certain beliefs about people, so the belief that the person has stolen from the cash register, we might want to say that we're getting confused here if we want to say that it's the belief itself that's morally wrong. Instead, it's something to do with the link that the belief has with the action. So the action is wrong, and if the belief is the action, but it's not the belief itself that's wrong. That's one way that we could run this objection. Another objection comes from Sophia Dandelay, and she says that what actually happens is we care less about people's individual beliefs. So it's not about them having the belief than we do about their commitments. And so an example that she gives is in a thought experiment where if you were to go to a kind of hypnotist or kind of somebody who is influencing your mind in this kind of philosophical thought experiment way, and they were able to kind of rid you of your belief that you'd formed. Say if you had some morally bad belief, and then you ridded yourself of it through whatever kind of hypothetical means, it doesn't seem like you're immediately in the clear. Instead, what seems like could have been going wrong is the kind of commitments that you had. So the dispositions that you have to form certain beliefs are the things that are wrong, rather than the beliefs themselves. And because it seems like that's what's indicated by this thought experiment that she considers. But we might wonder whether that's a kind of, for our purposes, a distinction without a difference, in the sense that whether we hold people responsible for the beliefs themselves or the commitments that are disposed to give rise to beliefs, seems like we might be making some quite sharp distinctions that might not be super relevant in terms of the way that we actually treat other people. But this seems like an important objection. And then finally, another objection that we might think of is even if we accept what these other philosophers have been saying, with the idea that there can be such things as morally incorrect beliefs, that we might want to try and sever the link between those ideas and the claim that we should hold people responsible for them. And one way that we can do that is by denying the idea that we have control over the beliefs that we form. And if it turns out that we don't actually have control over the beliefs that we form, then it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense for us to blame other people for them. Because as we'll see in the next lecture where we consider this in more detail, there's this kind of assumption of a responsibility thesis where responsibility requires control, at least in actions, and we might expect that gets mirrored in beliefs. So as I say, we're going to discuss this in lots of detail over the course of the next lecture.